Hello and welcome to Mouse House Plus. This is episode 27. I'm Hank,
And I'm John.
and we're your special edition hosts covering Loki, the finale of season 1.
And it was terrific.
Spoiler alert. No, I'm just kidding. This one was titled For All Time, Always. Hey, if you're anywhere where you can like and subscribe to our show, please do so. We would greatly appreciate it. And for all of you who have been purchasing our glorious Purpose t-shirt, thank you so much. But make sure you are subscribed to this show.
Yep.
All right, John, I think it's time to get into it. We get that intro and it's littered with voices from previous movies and shows. And then that music sounded like the X-Files to me. What about you?
I mean, it was just very intense. I mean, I couldn't pin it on something specific, but it was almost as dizzying as watching the beginning of the last episode where they were upside down and they're rotating around, flying through the cosmos like that. I mean, it was like I was in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, yes.
Coming right at me. Coming right at me.
And I think that camera was to let us know, hey, we're going to keep you off balance on this episode.
But it was neat because how they pulled out, you're seeing that this was a reality. Either they're saying that this is a different universe, this is a universe, or this is a reality. And where we're going back to is another reality. So it's interesting how they keep on toying with that.
And then we have Sylvie and Loki outside the door, and she seems to be expecting him to stop her, try to reason with her a little bit and stuff. And I guess in that moment, I didn't really think about the gravity of this situation for her. You've spent your entire life trying to undo this, and this is hopefully, you're thinking gonna be the end. Maybe it won't be. Could just be another dead end. Did you get the gravity of the situation there?
Yeah, especially whenever they turned around and she's like, I've basically been planning this my entire life, and now we're rolling up to it. So yeah, I can see how Loki was like, okay, well, you have your moment there, and figure out what you need to do. But yeah, it was the gravity of everything that was about to transpire was definitely right there in front of everyone's face.
Oh man. So bam, it's Miss Minutes at the Citadel. That freaked me out when she just kind of popped into existence. And I was like, I was expecting some more from Miss Minutes, but I guess I wasn't sure that she was going to be so ingrained in the finality of this situation.
Well, and she also dropped, she's like, welcome to the Citadel at the end of time. She's very helpful, even when they're in a spot where she's not trying to be very helpful. And especially whenever they're like, I'll give you everything that you want, or he'll give you everything you want. And, But it just, I don't know. You're right. It turned into it started with as a fun little way of getting information to being scarily creepy.
Yes. And I didn't think that actress could freak me out, but mission accomplished.
Yes.
So, like you said, they're offered the deal. They could be inserted in time together. 2 Lokis in one timeline. And Sylvie can be filled with only happy memories. Do you think, let's just say for a second that they got this. Do you think that this would have been followed through on, or do you think this was just all a ploy to get what happens to happen?
It was all a ploy because there'd be 3 Lokis. Because remember, they're removed. The timeline was reset. So, well, Loki's body remains whatever. He already existed there and is now dead. So now they're going to put another Loki there and then another Loki there. So, I mean, it would already kind of throw off the balance of everything. But I mean, it's possible, but considering that they went to such great lengths to get rid of them, why would they try to reinsert them? It was basically just a bluff to try and prevent further things from happening.
Back at the TVA, Ravonna looks at that worn spot on the end table from Mobius, setting his drinks there over time. And Miss Minutes comes in and limits Ravonna's file downloads. She says he thinks these files will be more useful, then promptly bounces without answering who he is. What did you think about that?
Well, I mean, I really wish that they expanded on this just a little bit more to even
Yep.
give us like a hint. I mean, how this entire show is all set up, it's like at least making you believe one thing, even if they turn around and change it. But to just say, "Here you go, I'm gonna give you this information, and it's not what you asked for, but he thinks it's going to be better than what you asked for." I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't mean a single thing to us. And then and then when she's like, peace out, herself, you're just like, okay, well, what's going on? So yeah, I just, and I thought it was really funny too, because here you go, it's like in this case, Miss Minutes isn't working for her. Miss Minutes is more or less telling her what to do,
Right.
because she's
And
like, Nana, I'm not getting you what you want, but I'm downloading this for you.
yeah, here you go. And then where does an AI go when they take off?
Well, I mean, but this, hold on. But with the same notion, how do they have all this futuristic technology, but everything looks like it was made in the 70s?
Right.
So, I mean,
I don't know.
that is, I'm not even worried about that. I mean, if we're going off of 31st technology, sorry, spoilers to get to the end of our podcast there, but let's just, if they're using 31st technology, which clearly they are, then there could be hollow projectors all over the place because, I mean, shoot, we see that in Star Trek.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, certainly.
and it's just the one AI. So it's not like, I mean, it could be in like key spots or whatever, but clearly she would probably have that there because in her office, because that would be an interface for her to do most of her work.
This is where I collectively lost my freaking mind. Loki and Sylvie, they roam the Citadel, and we see all that gold, that gold patchwork or whatever you want to call it.
The veins, the gold
Yeah.
veins. Yeah.
And I love that effect. I thought that was really cool.
Now,
But that other door that opens and the person we see behind it, I was so convinced that there's just no way they were going to be able to get the actor to do the show as well as do his other commitments.
yeah. Well, but hold on a second. You just jumped ahead.
Yep.
So you notice that they had the 4 statues, but one of them had been knocked down.
Broken.
So hopefully they'll come back in season 2 to explain that a little bit more. But there was a 4th timekeeper in the comics, and he who remains banished him to that keeper was named the Oracle of Siwa, and he was banished to ancient Egypt. So that's basically saying that, no, we didn't forget that there was a 4th one. We were showing you, but in this storyline, we're not telling you what happened with them.
Yes. And I tell you what, they've done a great job of just overloading the show with countless things.
So here's the thing. They open up that door. Yes, I have watched Lovecraft Country. I know who the actor is. I haven't seen him with facial hair. And honestly, since I was on the page thinking that it was going to be Mephisto the entire time, or actually, sorry, thinking that it would be Loki at the end, because I actually kind of thought it would be Loki. It would make sense.
Yes.
But I didn't actually think it was him. What got me is when he sat down at his desk and he was like, talking about being from the 31st century. As soon as he said the 31st century, I was like, oh crap, I know who he is now.
Okay. I just recognized the actor so well that I was like, oh my gosh, I was just freaking out.
Well, keep in mind, through Lovecraft Country, he was very stressed, upset, and mad. So he was smiling and everything. So I completely he looks like a completely different person.
That is terrific. He says he's flesh and blood, and I hope I'm not a disappointment. And that was a nod. I think that was a wink to the fans. Like, you were probably expecting another Loki.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I that's what I thought.
And Sylvie says, it should be easy to kill then, but he teleports all over the place and he's laughing. and he's so smug, and he's like, "Oh, you want 2 sugars?" He already knows they want 2 sugars.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then there's the apple that he's like eating in the midst of all that, which is kind of like being a toss out to Doctor Strange, because in the first Doctor Strange movie, remember, like he did the reversal time thing on that, as well as that was what was a Modor or Mort. I'm getting the name wrong. Mordor. Is that his name?
you're talking about Lord of the Rings if you're talking about Mordor.
No. What was the
Still a little book left for you to write in, Bilbo.
No, the guy that was going to be the villain in the next well, he was supposed to be the villain, whatever. The guy that was kind of working with him.
Oh, okay. Yes, I
Modo-
know who you're talking about.
Mordo or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, Mordo.
Yeah, so remember at the beginning he was eating an apple too, this was very clever, and I love the fact that he was just talking through eating too, which you don't see people do in movies, because they know how much of, like, I guess you could say that's bad acting, or the noise and everything, but this is just one of those moments where you're like, yeah, look at this guy, he just doesn't care.
Right.
Yeah, and watch him just go. So
that is outstanding. And Mordor wears a little bit of Loki green if you really want want to take a look at this.
Hey man, it's all connected.
Looky. He's got the Loki green on. Maybe he was impacted over time or something.
I think Loki's using some magic on your screens in the background.
I know. I don't know what's wrong with my camera. It is like continuing to the aperture is not getting light. It could be something messed up. I don't know. Sorry, YouTubers. All right.
But yeah, this was very kind of shocking. I like when they're going up in the elevator and he's just expecting them to kill him, and he's just waiting, and they're all like, they're super defensive through all of this, and their interactions were terrific, and them being like so serious and him being like aloof this entire time. And it was great. And then his explanation when he starts breaking everything down. What was it? He uses time pad, which by the way doesn't even look like anybody else's time pad. And he like threw some like Jello onto the table, and then it started forming into images. And
yeah, we'll get to that. That's a little later on.
Let's do it.
Ravonna is disturbed by Mobius. If anybody could get back, of course it would be him. And they have a chat about standards, and then Ravonna calls for backup.
And you know what? I jumped sides. I was like, I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, yeah, she's a bad guy. Then when she was like, he's like, you betrayed us. I'm like, no, you betrayed me. And I'm like, after she started explaining everything, I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, he did kind of betray her. So.
Yeah, for a Loki.
Yep.
And they've been, friends for eons. So, man, they've been around for a long, long time.
Well, I mean, timey-wimey.
Yeah, timey-wimey. Mobius has taken care of the backup, and he takes that ink pen out, which says the school's name in Fremont, Ohio, and we get B-15 there, and she's being chased by other hunters. Hunter U-92 he's ready to prune, and then Ravonna shows up. Or that version of her anyway. And he's like, please explain. I thought that was so cool, though, that they went that route to try to reach someone, in my opinion.
So, and the thing is, like, there's a plaque on the wall that kind of shows her certificate of like of schooling, and it says that her real name is Rebecca Tourmanet. Tourminet.
Awesome. Okay. So maybe on a different line or something. I don't know. Could she have been somebody different, a variant on a different line?
Let's search to see if she has another counterpart in the MCU.
That'd be great. No?
Nope.
Darn it. That'd have been awesome. Kang prods, he who remains prods the Lokis, then shows them pages from everything they've ever said. And that was the best. He's like, I already know what's going to happen, up until a certain point, of course.
Like fishing it out of like, if I like, here's this and here. Oh, you want to read the rest? Here you go. I'm like again, 31st technology, put it on paper.
Yeah.
And
good point.
And it's still all dot matrix printing too.
I liked how his TIM pad was preloaded.
Yeah.
So, he don't have to do diddly squat. It's ready for the exact second in which stuff's going to transpire. If you did something long enough, you could get that kind of precision, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I paved the road for you guys to get here and stuff. And he tells them, essentially, he gives them the hero's journey, which is every story you've ever read, every movie you've ever seen is the hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he's kind of explaining it to them, as if they don't know what that is in real life, obviously. Ravonna wants to hold on to the TVA as Mobius retorts with friends across time, allies to the end. Did you think he was digging a little too harsh?
You know what? I didn't know what was going on there because like he flipped real easy. He was just like, "Oh, come on." I don't know why. What happened to the aggression of going in there and stopping her?
Right.
Instead he just lets her roll out.
Yeah. He didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
Ravonna, yeah, you already talked about her saying that he betrayed her, and then she makes that doorway and she thumped him on her way out. He was like, "Oh, go stop him." Bam. Okay, I guess I won't stop you. And she's going in search of free will. I was like, okay. So help me figure this out. Do you think this version of Ravonna is going to meet a variant of He Who Remains, and then that is going to spark their combination?
I mean, in the comic book, she's with Kang, so I honestly, I have no idea. I know you're asking for like an answer for this, but really, when it all breaks down, I don't even know what to even guess. I mean, she could be doing anything right now.
Okay, because it almost seems like that they're trying to use the story, but they're just altering it in a way.
I mean, and I would agree with that. Somehow she would should be working with Kang, but she is working.
Yeah, technically.
For so I mean, and that's how the MCU could have just twisted this a little bit. So I'm not really sure if He Who Remains is directing her to go to another version of himself, considering that he explains, which we're about to get to, about how nasty most of the other versions of himself are.
Yeah. But I kind of felt like he wanted to get to that different version of himself.
Well, and here's the thing that I have is that, okay, well, as and I'm skipping way ahead to the end, but as we know, when Loki shows back up, it's like everyone in the TVA has completely forgot who he is because other things, basically time has been rewritten. So when she left, did she take herself out of the equation and now she's kind of like Loki that's been able to retain all this information? Or is she going to be in the exact same situation where, she just goes with the flow?
That is a great thought. I don't know the answer.
Yep.
Kang says without him and the TVA, everything burns.
Yep.
And he's like, well, I'm afraid of me. I go by many names. And he gives us his background and tells us about the multiversal war between each of the different places and such. And I like the explainer that he gave, but I was like, okay. And then when he says he weaponized Goliath, and that's, it's why he prunes branches, explaining all that. If you think he's evil, wait till you see his variants. But he didn't seem to be bothered by the situation. He was, the way he explained things was like he would just be in a loop.
Yeah. Well, and I think that he was just done. I mean, it's kind of like the ancient one from Doctor Strange, where basically you see to a certain point, then after that point, you don't know what's going on, which more than likely means that you're done. So when he got to that moment where he's like, we've now hit the impasse, and I have no idea what's about to happen now, and so that's why he was excited. So after he's like, I've been alive for a very long time, and I'm tired of what it is I'm doing. It kind of made sense. He was looking for a replacement and or a way out. But and so he didn't have to deal with himself. So that's the reason why, like, I think in the end, he was kind of okay with dying because he was like, "Hey, it's your problem now."
Do you get a sense that even that version of him will, because he kind of mentioned reincarnation. Do you kind of
Mhm.
get a sense that feels like even that version of him will somehow boomerang back around?
It's completely possible.
Oh, such a weird situation.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
shoot, that's a good job. Instead of dealing with time travel, now we're dealing with multi-universal issues, and you're going to slap reincarnation into the middle of that. You're like,
Yeah, right around this writers, so they're like, okay.
well, no, I have a feeling that they sat down some pretty smart people to come up with how they constructed all this, because all of it makes sense to a really good degree. Now there's some bits and pieces there that are left out, but that's probably done on purpose because it's information that we would find out later on in other shows and other movies. But the entire basis explanation, it explains a lot, because it's like, okay, well, he was smart. He figured out interdimensional travel, and then other versions of himself that did the same thing. They met, they swapped ideas and technologies, so that makes each one of them even more advanced. So now
Yep.
it's like explaining how he could have conquered Goliath, how he's able to do everything that he's done, how he knows what all is about to come up and everything. Like, he has his technology from not only himself, but different versions of himself. And what I find is funny is that he specifically says, like, this isn't the only timeline. This is an isolated timeline that I was able to in other words, isolate, but
Yep.
it's not the only one that's out there. But what I'm trying to do is stop this one from producing the version of me that's going to take over everything.
Everything.
But it doesn't
Fail.
mean it's not happening in another timeline somewhere that is off the isolated one.
Sylvie just downright says he's a liar, and he gives them two options: kill him, or the Lokis can run the timeline together. And I was like, oh my goodness. When he yelled at her and told her to grow up, I was like, well, you're dying. It's pretty obvious.
Well, I mean, the thing too is like, how would they learn how to read everything, or I don't know.
Right.
I found that that I think in the end he knew he was going to die regardless, because like that's a big dish to put on someone, and the only thing that they would be working on would be their increased ego. But the downside is you got one Loki that is stuck on revenge because you screwed her, and you have another Loki that's basically reformed himself because he's finally found someone who he cares about.
Right.
So the entire concept of getting them to do the work because you would be the top dog isn't really there anymore, because neither one of them have that focus.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And then what was really weird is when we heard that rumble, and he was like, "Yep, we crossed the threshold."
Yep.
He's like, I knew, I kind of lied because I don't know everything past 10 seconds ago. You're just like, oh crap. So they're in real time now, and he's okay with whatever outcome happens. And that's when the Lokis argue and fight. Did you kind of understand why our Loki was saying that we should at least think this through a little bit?
Yeah, because he said it himself in the best words: "I'm a liar and a cheat, and I believe this guy because this is not the approach that a liar or a cheat would do."
Right.
I mean, when he's basically saying, "Kill me, bad things happen," or "take my place and keep this running," and I agree with Loki. Why would you think that he was playing a game with you then? Because if that is the case, you could, I mean, you could technically do both, but clearly that's not what happened. But he doesn't care about his life. He understands that more than likely he's going to die, and he's okay with that. And anyone who's basically putting their life up for gamble, that's a different approach to trying to bluff somebody, which is typically not the case. That's not
Right.
really a bluff, and
Not a
they're being truthful. So, and that's why I was like, oh, the other Loki or Sylvie is stuck on revenge because of the fact of everything they've done to her. So there's really no reasoning with her. So in this case, Loki is the one who's like, wow, we just might screw everything up. Hold on a second. Hold on.
uh, and Loki made that comment because when he tells Sylvie, because you can't trust and I can't be trusted, and they start battle. He's not fighting to win; he's just fighting to just stall. Just hoping she's gonna kind of come around and see his point or anything.
Yeah, it was
But
more a defensive approach, not an offensive approach.
and then when he surrenders and puts his uh, short sword down in order to get her to stop from killing him, she kisses him and says, "But I'm not you," and throws him through that portal and then stabs he who remains. And he says, "I'll see you soon."
Yep.
And the timeline just goes absolutely bonkers. I was not prepared for this next scene where Mobius and B-15 are watching the timeline red line, and Loki tells them everything, and they're like, "Who are you? Are you from, what did he say? Are you from what's that one group that that is at the TVA? I can't remember. It's a different department."
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't remember, but like, let's see, it's. Oh, let me see if it's listed here somewhere. Nope, I don't see it at all. I don't really know what it was, but yeah, no, I caught that too because he didn't automatically jump and think that he was a variant, which I thought was weird. But I mean, there's also another article, by the way, that just to kind of just derail this for a second, because I know that we were talking about in a previous podcast about why he keeps on coming back in his TVA uniform and not a Loki outfit. And I found an article where the writers were basically saying that is because he is actually trying to reform, and in this case, he's proving that he's growing up by not resorting to past Loki things.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that he can't go back to it; he can go back to it anytime he wants to. It's just that it just didn't make sense to him to do that.
Okay, I like that.
So, but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch and figure out where that department is. But yeah, he let me see this.
Are you an analyst? Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Are you an analyst or something like that? And he looks out that window, and instead of the statues we saw before, we see the statue that looks exactly like He Who Remains. And
except in a nice fancy outfit that kind of resembles a person that starts with K and sounds like Aang.
Yes. Way to really shield that one from him. I love it. So in the after credits, Loki will return in season 2.
Yeah, and
that
the thing
was
is, like,
cool.
Yeah, and this is all going to be netted together too, because it's like now that we're seeing that he has created Sylvie has created the multiverse. That means that when we hit Spider-Man, with all the Spider-Verse stuff that we've seen, now this is making more sense of how they end up in that, because things are happening. Like he has now set things up to the point where all these other dimensions, timelines, branches, whatever are existing and now can jump from one another. Then we leap to the quantum verse, which I'm sitting there. Wait, it goes there, then it goes to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is going to be dealing with the multiverse, and the multiverse, apparently, the Doctor Strange movie is going to be the darkest MCU movie that they've made to date. Just read that article yesterday. And then, we finally get Kang to pop through. So that makes me believe that we're going to see Loki definitely in the Doctor Strange movie. It's possible we can see him in the Spider-Man movie, and possible that we can see him in the Ant-Man movie. And then also some more hints at Kang in all of those movies. Outside of Kang showing up in Ant-Man, which we know he's going to.
That would be spectacular. I think a lot of people haven't read those comics or dealt with the character, so I think this was a really cool way to kind of slowly dip their toe into what to expect going forward.
Well, and this was very reminiscent of the end of phase 1. So we get to the end of phase 1 when everyone's like, well, who'd be interested in doing all this stuff? Blah, blah, blah. Then you see Thanos there at the end. And you're like, holy crap, where are we going with this? And then you don't see him for like another phase until he starts showing up. No. We see him for Guardians of the Galaxy, but outside of Guardians of the Galaxy, he doesn't show up for anything else. And then we get towards the end of phase 3, and now we're seeing him a lot more. So we're towards the we're like in the middle or the end of phase 4. I'm not even sure anymore because of COVID. It's kind of threw the schedule all off, but we're not at the beginning. We're somewhere at the middle or the end of phase 4. And now we're being introduced to Kang, but we're getting hints of it, just like how we got a hint of Thanos at the end of the Avengers movie. And in this case, this is making it so everything is hooked together. You have to see these shows to probably understand a lot of what's going on in the movies, because even though the movies will be standalone and they'll function just fine, all the nitty gritty stuff, all the things that will help piece this together to make it even more sense is from these shows. So we're going to start hinting at Kang, and people are going to be like, well, who's this guy? Well, if you watch this, you'd know who this person is. And you don't even have to know Kang. You just need to know that it's more than likely a version of He Who Remains that is a bad guy, because he already said that.
Well,
so yeah, this is terrific how they're like setting all this up to lead to these movies.
I agree.
Even more so, this is going to help explain how we get the X-Men. Now, my question is, are they going to do it because like, oh, they just crossed over, or are they going to do Secret Wars where they end up like destroying reality, where two realities are going to fight to come up with supremacy so the one can survive over the other?
Let me ask you this, though, just since you brought up Secret Wars. Do you think they waited too long to start on Secret Invasion, which is a totally different storyline?
No, because as everything that's going on right now, I mean, we could everything, all the movies, these shows, everything leading up till when we actually get Kang and Ant-Man may be compressed and happening within like a month.
Okay.
That's what I think is going to happen. Because I mean, to us, it's 2 years that we have to wait for all of this. But right. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think that all of this is pretty much happening simultaneously. Because think about it, you know, if he's now created the multiverse and Scarlet Witch has the Necronomicon. Sorry, the oh man, now I forgot what the name of that book. I'm just gonna stick with Necronomicon because sorry, the Darkholm. She has that. There's no way that he can't figure out that she has that, and there's no way that he can't realize that the realities are splintering like they are. So for them to hold out Doctor Strange for such a long time, you know, doesn't make any sense unless all this is kind of happening, you know, relatively close to each other.
Concurrently, almost.
Yeah. Okay. So, because, I mean, why not have Multiverse of Madness happening after this show? Why are we going to go into Spider-Man? Because that wouldn't, I mean, it would kind of make sense, but it would make more sense with all the extra Spider-Man characters coming from different realities to be there because of the remnants of Multiverse of Madness. Because I have a feeling that when we get to the end of Multiverse of Madness, it's not going to solve the multiverse.
No.
Yeah. But that would at least help set up and explain to the people who haven't seen these TV shows that the multiverse now exists, and now we're on Spider-Man. So unless Spider-Man in this Loki show and Loki season 2 and Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are all happening very close together in the MCU world, is the only way that any of this would make sense.
I like it. Well, you ready to get about our rating?
Yes.
Or is that kind of stupid? Because I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah, no, well, I'm giving it 11. So,
shall we get into some feedback? I'll read the first 3, and then if you'll read the last one.
Okay. Well, hold on. Has it changed at all, or am I using the one that you sent me?
Use the one I sent you.
Okay.
It's fine. All right. This first one is from Chris. I love the podcast. Thank you, Chris. I was rewatching all the episodes and I got to the one where Ravonna arrests Sylvie, and it got me to thinking, could the TVA be arresting certain people without a Nexus event? That may be how they get their agents. So, does it necessarily have to be somebody that has a Nexus event?
It's a situation that was not explained, which I thought that I was going to be right about it, and it still wasn't explained. Because remember how I said I think there's a recycle facility in the void where whenever they prune somebody ends
Mhm.
up there, but then they will turn them into a TVA agent and send them back because where are they getting them all at? They
Right.
have not explained that. They just said that these are variants, and all that we know are variants are pruned. So it would only make sense that the prune variants would come back as TVA agents, but that's not what we saw. So
No.
honestly, I am going to leave it alone because I do not know exactly what's going on with it right now. But I hope in season 2 they do cover it.
Me too. I thought that was a really cool idea, but
Well, I mean, it
so
makes the most sense
yeah,
because I mean, as we've seen and as we know, if they're all variants and they get rid of variants, they go to the void. So,
right. Yep.
where are you going to get your help from? The void. There's an endless supply that you're sending there yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
so anyway, yeah, that's my I guess my only issue over this whole series is they should have explained the TVA a little bit more, and they don't have
Yeah.
to go into great detail, but
Maybe we'll go back to that. And then I was wondering if there's other parameters, like if whatever is going to be your timeline wouldn't cause a big ripple, maybe I'm kind of borrowing from a movie that is out there right now, but
time cop, right? Time cop.
not along that line, but not
Or,
that.
wait, the one.
Oh, that was a good one too. That was a good one too. I like how they did you get stronger as you take out yourself.
Yep.
I like that.
I also liked Hawaiian Jet Li. Wait,
Chris, thank you so much for sending that in. This
thank you.
next one is from Russ. Russ comes into the live streams and drops hilarious bombs in there most weeks. Hi guys, just watched the finale of Loki and was happy to see Kang revealed as the one pulling the strings.
Not
I know,
Kang.
I know what John's gonna say. He's gonna say it's technically not Kang.
It's a variant.
I thought this episode was good, not great, but it should make for an interesting future for Marvel. I did think Loki was hands down the best thing Marvel has done post Endgame. Thanks, Russ. Russ, that is amazing. And I agree. Like, Tom Hiddleston just kills it.
Yep. Oh, and before we roll on, just a little side note, because I know I had said this before, but like, the different versions of Kang that, he was talking about, if hopefully we would see them. I mean, the one that we saw was He Who Remains. There's also, let's see, shoot, they're like all at the end. Nathaniel Richards, Immortus, Ramatut, and Iron Lad. So and I know that they just brought Iron Lad back into the comics because I just saw like a pop-up of that. So here's the thing, that wasn't Kang. And to prove that's not Kang, here are other versions of what we know would be Kang, but are not called Kang.
Right.
So anyway, sorry.
Well, we understood what he meant.
Yep.
So, Russ, thank you so much. We appreciate you. All right. As much as I adore Tom Hiddleston, this is from Elizabeth, by the way, and all the performances during this season, Loki felt like one long wait for something to develop. He Who Remains kept up a steady stream of hot air we had to sit through. Renslayer disappears, and we still don't really know her story. The season ended without any sort of resolution, and now we have to wait for another season. Did Disney Plus create the WandaVision and Loki series just to lay the groundwork for the multiverse of madness? I doubt any movie can live up to all of this hype. Thank you for providing a space to vent and creating podcasts which are easy to enjoy without hot air. Much love, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thank you so much. John, let's
Hold on a second. Are you really paying attention to this podcast? Because I mean, we do spout a lot of hot air.
I thought she was being way too kind on that one. I was like, well, that's kind of kind, but we're terrible. But okay, thank you. Renslayer disappears, and we really don't. Yeah, they left us with so much. Like, who wants? What was she, a principal or something?
Yeah.
Who's worried? You know, like, why would she be taken?
But here's the thing. I mean, this is just a big episode of Doctor Who and Lost mixed together. We had a smoke monster, did about the same thing. The season ends, and you're like, WTF? What are you guys doing? And that was every single season.
They even went down a hatch.
Yeah, that was the end of the series too. When we got the end, you're like,
oh, what just happened?
That still didn't make any sense. So yeah, no. This is, if they've got the smarts behind it, they just are making it so you are drooling for more. And
we are.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, this is a little precursor only to Multiverse of Madness. These shows are just like whetting your appetite, kind of getting some of the exposition out there, so you're not in the theater going, huh? Like, what? I mean, no, how does that work?
Yeah, because you think about it this way, when you go into a theater, a lot of things that we get upset about like, I'm going to use Batman for example, because that is always the best one. Yeah. How many times do you see a Batman movie and you get to see how his parents die?
But last time the pearls got caught in the action. It was different. Oh, it was so
okay.
different.
But what I'm saying is, we know the same story. Every single Batman has had some sort of flashback to that. We don't need that. You're going to see the Batman movie because you know Batman. Why would you need to explain it after it's been in at least like when they did the last chain of them? It was in the first like 5 movies.
Spider-Man?
No, what? No.
Spider-Man gets a little repetitive with the Uncle Ben story.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So this is perfect because now we're explaining, and they can go into more details about stuff and not drag a movie out. And you can go see the movie and actually have to deal with what is going on here, but not necessarily understand how they got there because it was explained somewhere else. So you're all your brain power trying to figure out what's going on. You don't have to retain the fact of like, oh, okay, so you're going to do this crunch at the beginning for 20 minutes and basically explain everything that happened to Loki, which honestly, they probably still will do. They'll probably take Loki and compress it to a 10-minute segment and to explain Multiverse of Madness. And if they do, then, that's for all the dumb people out there that are not really, putting all this together and think that, oh, well, I don't want to go to the movies to see a movie where I had to see a TV show. No, Marvel is setting something up because they're trying to build something bigger, and they're trying to make more out of their movies by explaining the stuff that they don't have to explain in the movies in the TV shows.
Can any of the movies live up to the hype?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't think any one single movie is going to live up to the hype. I think in conjunction, you're going to go, oh, that was an amazing story arc, but it's going to take place over multiple movies, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at, because if the end of this ends up being Secret Wars,
that's it has to end there or go there. I mean, at this point.
And then and that it has everybody. And not only that, but now you get to bring in, and if they go the route of the comics, not the first run of Secret Wars, but the second run of Secret Wars, the one that was more recent. And then since they're bringing Doom in here, then we have an entire run of movies where everything is completely effed and Doom is a god over everybody. And I am excited because that would be awesome.
And what if Doom takes off his helmet and he's just another variant of He Who Remains?
Well, as long as he rips Thanos' spine out and basically blows him away in a second, just to prove a point, I'm okay with that. It's because, listen, I don't think I told you this. I'll have to go and get it and show it to you sometime, but I actually have the Doom action figure from that series. So it's Doom, but his entire outfit is white, and it comes with a Thanos skull and spine that he gets to hold. Because
Okay.
in the comic books, Thanos steps up to him and he's like, you're not a god. I was a god once with the Infinity Gauntlet and blah, 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 blah. And Doom was like, hey, you're right. And then pulls his spine out and he's like, but I'm in charge now. No messing around.
That is awesome.
And that's the reason why I'm excited for Doom, because if they're paving this path, it is completely possible that is where they'll end up going. Yeah. Imagine an entire movie or an entire series being a battle world where different continents are the what if series, basically.
Yeah.
Because in the comics, the Marvel zombies were there. They used Ben Grimm as the wall to separate the Marvel zombies from the rest of the world. Johnny Blaze was the sun in the sky. And all the Thors that ever existed were the Thor Patrol, which were brainwashed Thors doing Doom's bidding. So it was his private police. His police was a bunch of Thors.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and I mean it's all the Thors, Beta Ray Bill, Throg, anyone who's ever held it in any reality were there.
Jane Foster.
I think so, but I have not got, because I'll be totally honest with you here, did not realize there was a Thor line. I think it was called Thor's. For that comic book series, I thought it was all wrapped up in the Secret Wars or sorry, whatever the Doom Battle World was. And I just actually recently saw that there was a separate comic book, and I've seen multiple covers. So, I mean, I don't know, quick Google search will probably bring it up, yes or no. But I mean, she existed before they did the Secret Wars, so I don't know why they wouldn't do it.
Okay.
But
well, you want to get to this last email?
Yes. Hold on.
Your turn.
I know. Hold on. Let me.
You got to get his glasses on. No.
No. I gotta do this. Maggie, this is for you. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Hi, Hank and John. Wow, what a ride. This episode had me on the edge of my seat, praying that Loki would survive, that Sylvie would survive, that Mobius would have a showdown with Renslayer, and that Loki would find love with Sylvie. Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Poor Loki. His heartbreak was so evident in the final scenes, but Sylvie is so messed up. She can't give anyone love right now. They are in different places, and frankly, she's not worthy of him yet. He has gone through such tremendous character growth in this season. Perhaps season 2 will allow Sylvie to evolve in the same way, provided she returns from the edge of forever. Ha! Sounds like a soap opera to me. Or whatever that place is called. And I believe that was the Citadel at the end of Forever, right? Was it Forever or was it Time?
End of Time, I thought they said.
Okay. I love that the guy in the castle was obviously Kang. Well, a Kang. And also loved what happened when he got killed. And the timelines went absolutely, in Hank's word and in this, bonkers. I yelled at the TV, "Oh, Sylvie, what have you done?" I also enjoyed the scenes with Mobius trying to figure out what was going on and how Loki ended up back in the TVA. But I guess it was an entirely different timeline. And Mobius did not know Loki. Oh, sorry. I did not like that, to be honest, but maybe that means that we will have bonding scenes with Mobius and Loki all over again. I would totally be down for that. And it appears that Loki retains his memories of what went down in the castle that time forgot. So he will totally get a chance to shine and be the hero I always knew he could be. Oh, I'm loving this. Where did Renslayer go? I'm guessing she took the very pertinent files with her, files that probably could incriminate her and lead to the knowledge of who he who remained now and could have helped Mobius and B-15 figure out. I'm betting we will find out where she went in season 2, if not earlier. Who knows? Maybe she will end up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's absolutely reasonable assumption, I think. I mean, shoot. I mean, this is me, by the way. Shoot, at this point, she could be the one who starts pulling all the Spider-Men together, or the one who goes and tells Doctor Strange, hey, guess what? Everything's messed up.
Yeah.
So I also love that B-15 had a lot more to do, and that she went back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt High School, and Miss Renslayer, the teacher, actually principal, showed up. That will be interesting to find out. If the rumors are true that King was one of her students, in a lot of ways, this episode had things finally falling into places. But we know that can't be the case, because he's from the 31st century, and that school clearly looked like it was something from the 20th century or 21st century.
I agree.
All right, hold on. Lost my place. Now I feel like you. Let me.
You're like, where am I at?
Okay, this episode had things finally falling into place and setting up plenty of mysteries to solve in the future. I would like to give this episode at least a 12, but I don't want to make Hank angry with me, so I will restrain myself and give the season 1 a final A10.
Yes.
Our Loki, though, Tom Hiddleston's Loki, and Tom Hiddleston himself deserve a 25.
Oh my gosh.
So there, LOL. Seriously, Hank and John, I have enjoyed your podcast very much, and will definitely check out your podcast for Loki season 2, as well as go back and watch the other podcasts you have done on different shows.
Yeah.
I think you did one on The Mandalorian. Yes, not only Mandalorian, but also The Bad Batch, which is on the Mandalorian channel, and that is with Mr. Hank and Alex Cruz.
Yes. Thank you.
So my husband Tom and I love that show. You guys are awesome. Keep up the great work. Your number one fan, Maggie. Oh, P.S. Hey, Disney Plus, if you know about Paramount's short treks, I want short Lokis. Little films about all the variant Lokis, especially my Gator Man, Alligator Loki. Which listen, that's the end of her letter. But that is a great idea.
It is.
Try and kill. I mean, shoot. Who are you paying? You're paying the crocodile handler. It's not like it's gonna be. It's not like it's Tom Hiddleston every single time. And
make him open his mouth again. Okay.
Yeah. No, that would be great. Just have him in like weird spots.
And he just bites down on people's hands.
Yeah, and I think that is a terrific idea, because I mean, it's something that helps keep the continuity, helps people interested, and it's also something that no one has any clue about why the heck there is a Gator Loki somewhere, and it would just make it funny. So like maybe we see some beginnings of Gator Loki, or see what he's doing now.
I love it. I think he is. And I think most people would agree, the superior Loki.
Yeah, I like the fact that we now have a Loki poster with him on it, or with it, or with him, her, it, whatever.
It, whatever.
Yes.
I love it. That is good stuff. What did you think about where did Renslayer go? We kind of speculated a little bit, but what do you think about that?
I still have no clue. I mean, it's... You got to think about it this way. She has all of time that she can go to. And now that everything has been fractured, hypothetically, she can jump through into different timelines. So who knows?
Because if she's looking for him, and she probably found him, and then their exploits could be part of that, why his statue is just, a version of him up there like that and stuff. Their exploits could have helped create that.
Well, I mean, and the other thing too is what it could be is, so let's say that she's on the good guy side, right? Maybe He Who Remains basically dropped these hints saying, you need to go here, here, and here to try and help fix these things, because I'm going to be coming back and you're not going to like me because I'm going to be kicking butt and taking names. So if she's on the good guy's side, that's what I can see happening. Now, in the comics, she is more on Kang's side, but I think she comes up with am I getting like 30 gold stars?
You're getting about 100 of them for that. Yes. That theory is outstanding.
Oh wait, you got what happened to the? So that's an
It's
interesting.
an interesting theory.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. But if she, but the other part of this is, and I guess the other side of the coin is she, in the comics, she's worked for Kang. She's impersonated Kang and then had to resurrect Kang whenever stuff was going bad. So it's totally possible that she is going to look for the now version of He Who Remains, which would be Kang, and working for him, which in that case is exactly what you said. And her actions are helping change the TVA to what it is now.
Ah, man, this is my mind is just like I need a break from from this series.
ADD has his good points, and that's like
perks.
trying to like pan all this out in a short bit of time.
On classical Loki's left calf, there was a you're like, oh, okay, that's an Easter egg, all right.
Oh, hey, you know what? Since you mentioned that, I was just reading an article, but I don't remember the guy's name. Who is the actor who played classic Loki?
Oh my goodness, he is such a renowned actor, and I can't think of his name. I feel so terrible. Let me look it up real quick.
Loki.
Richard E. Grant.
Okay, Richard E. Grant posted that he was first off. Tom Hiddleston schooled him just like he schooled everybody else, and he was very adamant about how he should act. But he was excited for the role and then greatly disappointed with the role. Hank, why was he greatly disappointed with the role?
Because he got killed?
No. He was excited because he was like, I am going to get to be in a muscle suit, and this being of a person is finally going to look awesome. And then whenever he get there, he's like, yeah, I'm ready for my suit. They're like, no, you wait. We got everybody else getting in their suits. And like, well, what about me? No, you're going to be in this old timey suit. And he was like, he's like, that's all I wanted was to look like I've got muscles. He's like, my entire life, I have never looked like that. And I was really excited for that. And then they're like, no, not going to happen.
That is horrific. Oh, I feel bad for him.
So, but yeah, because he wasn't in the end, he was happy and excited and everything worked out. But I could see the crushing disappointment where he's like, oh, this person, look at him. He looks cool. And look at this. And he's like, where's my outfit? Wait a second. This looks like a cosplay outfit. This doesn't look like I'm going to be in a Loki episode.
It does. It looks like one of those cheap Halloween suits you'd get from Walmart or somewhere.
So yeah, so that was a nice little read there. And dude, and every single picture and thing that's been coming out has been so good. I know I've been sending you a bunch of it, and it's
they're funny.
Yeah, all of them are hits, man. All of them are hits.
All funny. Maggie, thank you so much for sending that in. We can't thank you enough. Greatly appreciate it.
Oh, and I just want to point out, because Maggie has also sent in letters before. So just to expand on my nerdism here, I'm in a Star Trek fan club, and how the fan clubs work are each area of like a state or has like a ship, which would be the club that you're in, and we are on the same ship as in club. So
that's cool.
So yeah, so I mean, I've met her, I've talked to her off to the side, but I also know how much of a Loki fan she is. So I was like, hey, we have a podcast, you should check it out.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
How all that transpired. So yes, Maggie, thank you very much. And if anyone is interested, our ship's name is the Katherine Johnson. So the USS Katherine Johnson. It is a Nebula class, and we have a Facebook page and a website. So come check us out.
That is terrific. In closing, I just want to show off my shirt.
Nice.
I had a WandaVision shirt. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta have that. It was like $9.99. I was like, yeah, I gotta have that shirt. WandaVision to the rescue. John, anything else before we wrap it up?
Man, is there any more that we want to add to this? I mean, oh my God.
It's a long one. It's gonna be a lot of editing. But hey, are we gonna be off a week or two, or are we just gonna keep the hits coming?
No, we could try and keep the hits coming. I mean, okay. I'm going to sit down and rewatch all the Lokis with my wife, because in case everyone didn't know, this is also something that we were kind of talking about like yesterday during your live stream, is that some people noticed that a lot of the background coloring of every single Loki episode was very specific to a color, and kind of some of the themes. And someone pieced it together and was like, well, this is very Infinity Stone kind of remnants. So I'm curious to see how much that pans out. But I mean, it could also be wishful thinking, because I mean, we thought the same thing through WandaVision too. And it was confirmed, it was never confirmed that each one of those commercials wasn't an Infinity Stone, even though it seemed like an Infinity Stone, but it was more of like her past, present, future dealing with things.
Right.
Yep.
Right. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with more discussion. For John, I'm Hank. Until the next time, we're going to be signing off.
Bye, everybody.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.